Daily Mail took this picture here of Aaron Rodgers on the beach. He's not on a darkness retreat. He's in a robe, in a bathing suit on the beach, contemplating life.
He doesn't look very happy.
He seems like he's in that Aaron Rodgers type of zone, that Zen ayahuasca zone maybe. Who knows? But, he's mulling a big decision because earlier this offseason, the New York Jets made a tough decision to let Aaron Rodgers go. He will be a post-June 1st release, which saves the Jets a little bit to stretch the cap over 2 years instead of dealing with just 1 year. But now it looks like 3 teams. We know about 2 teams. 3 teams now are reportedly at least interested in landing the 41-year-old quarterback, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New York Giants, and a newcomer. Although, are they really a newcomer? If you look at history, the Minnesota Vikings are also potentially interested, with Dianna Russini posting on Twitter/X. Here's what you need to know. The Vikings are having discussions about what they want to do at quarterback, and if they want Rodgers. Rodgers is giving them time and waiting to hear from Minnesota. The Vikings have yet to make a decision. We all wait. Now, what we heard initially was that the Giants and the Steelers have offers to Aaron Rodgers, and they're waiting for Rodgers to respond. Now Dianna Russini is reporting that Rodgers is waiting on the Vikings to see what they do with their quarterback situation. So right now we're in a triangle of just waiting.
Yeah.
With the catalyst being this man, Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
Here's my question to you. Do you think Rodgers, first of all, what team do you think Aaron Rodgers will go to, and do you think Rodgers could still be a top quarterback in the NFL?
Well, the options are much smaller now that the other quarterbacks have all signed except Russell Wilson. Darnold went to the Seahawks. Smith went to the Raiders. In a trade, Stafford went back to the Rams. Jones signed with the Colts, and Fields signed with the Jets. There isn't many homes left. As you said, it's a triangle. It's the Browns, the Giants, and now the Vikings with an interest. Most probably
Steelers, not the Browns.
Steelers, I'm sorry.
That's Russ.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Got that wrong. Most probably Pittsburgh, I think, or the Giants. But as you say, Minnesota is a possibility. I would say the Giants should be last on his list, even though he has a home in New York. They've got very questionable offense. Only one star on offensive player is Neighbors, who's only in his second year. Big questions about the offensive line. Next would be the Vikings, I think, who have an elite wide receiver in Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson. He also knows the division. However, he risks being like at the Giants. He'd risk being a bridge quarterback or not starting at all if McCarthy shines in the preseason or the Vikings get off to a bad start. I think Pittsburgh will go back to Wilson, partly because of the Metcalf connection. We just talked about that. Interestingly, both Sauce Gardner, who said Rodgers could lead the NFL in all quarterback stats if he went to the Vikings, and Brett Favre, who said Rodgers should end his career like he did in Minnesota. By all means, Brett said, sign with the Vikings. They have a really good football team. They're loaded pretty much at every position. So I think the odds favor the Giants, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
I think technically the odds actually favor Pittsburgh because now they are the second highest bet team to win the Super Bowl because everybody expects Aaron Rodgers to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which then you want to cash in on the early bets before Rodgers actually goes there, and obviously the odds would most likely decrease, so you win less money if they ever do win the Super Bowl with Rodgers there, at least this upcoming season. I think when it comes down to it, to answer the question, no. Never. Not likely to happen. Because Rodgers, out of 44 quarterbacks, the last 2 years that he's played, but since 2022, minimum 500 pass attempts. Like I said, out of 44 quarterbacks, these were Rodgers' numbers. His record was 31st. Completion percentage, 27th. Passing yards a game, 23rd. Touchdown-interception ratio, that I believe, has the highest amongst qualified quarterbacks. I think it's nearly a 4 to 1 touchdown to interception ratio. He's 19th. Not great. Out of 44, it's a little bit above average. And the passer rating is about average at 23, excuse me. So Rodgers is a average to below average quarterback since his MVP season. And there were a lot of expectations for Rodgers on the Jets. For instance, we had them winning the division last year. We have to be honest when we talk about that because that's what we do. We're honest here. We live up to our mistakes. We've had some very bad picks, including myself. But yeah, we both picked the Jets to make the playoffs and at least do decently last season, and then what that ultimately came to being was a 5-12 record, and the Jets look horrible with Rodgers at the helm, leading them to a brick wall, getting their GM fired, head coach fired, offensive coordinator fired. So that's where the Jets stood, and that's where the Packers, his final year with them, they were 8-9, missed the playoffs, lost to the Detroit Lions in the last week. Rodgers put up a big dud. 4 out of the last 5 games. The only reason why the Packers were even in playoff contention was their defense stepped up massively, and their running game was incredible. So I don't think Rodgers will be a top quarterback anywhere he goes. However, can he pull a Sam Darnold and just go along with the ride and be efficient? Yeah, I actually do think so. And honestly, I know Brett Favre hasn't had, a great reputation over the past couple years. I actually agree with him. 100%. I don't think that's a hot take whatsoever. The Giants have no offensive line, one true weapon on offense, no running game. Their defensive line is good. Their cornerbacks improved in the offseason. Linebacker group I don't love, but they're not going to be a great team. They're not going to be a team that's going to be fighting for the NFC East. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're in arguably the toughest division in the NFL with Cincinnati and Baltimore. That's pretty damn tough. And you could argue that going over to Minnesota gives you a pretty good shot because Detroit just hit the big reset button on their coaching staff. Green Bay is super young, and then Chicago got a little bit better. So they might be beating each other up and giving themselves more losses than they did last year. So with Minnesota going 14-3, having Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, a healthy offensive line again, Aaron Jones is back, and the defense I think is going to remain largely the same. Why not? Why not just do the full circle of Brett Favre's career where you play one true year with the New York Jets after coming from the Packers for a number of seasons, and then you play, by the way, Rodgers wants to play at least a couple more seasons. How many seasons did Brett Favre play with the Minnesota Vikings? 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So this could be a full circle of back-to-back Packers quarterbacks having the exact same timeline.
It's really kind of strange when you think about it that would happen, right?
All we need now is Jordan Love to do the exact same thing in about 10 years from now.
Yeah. So I was looking at your picture that you've got down there, Rodgers roster roulette, and I was looking at Rodgers in the various uniforms. Which uniform do you think he looks best in, and what number would he wear at each of these franchises?
Well, I right now I think number 8 of the New York Giants is cursed because that's what Daniel Jones wore.
Yeah, I don't think he would wear that. I think he'd go back to number 12.
You think he would go number 12?
Yeah.
Well, he can't do that if he's with Pittsburgh.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, he can't have 12
He'd probably
there.
stick with number 8.
Yeah. I don't think he'll stick with 8. He had pretty bad luck with that.
But that's his college number, so do you think he's going to give that up?
I don't know. He could go to 12 in Minnesota.
Well, technically, the Pittsburgh Steelers never retired Teddy Bradshaw's number.
I don't think
he could wear 12.
I don't think he would pick 12 if he went there.
He could pick. It's
could,
Aaron
but
Rodgers.
Maybe start a controversy on day one. Show up with number 12 wearing number 12. I think that would be that would set off a controversy.
Maybe
he could wear 12 at the Giants. He could wear 12 at the Vikings.
That's true.
So I think he should stay away from 8. He had pretty bad luck with that in the NFL. It might have been good for him in college, but not so good in the NFL. That's for sure.
I think that best uniform. I think he actually looks good in that Vikings uniform. To be honest with you,
yeah.
I think he doesn't look too bad.
I think he looks okay in the Giants uniform too. He looks a little odd with that black helmet on. The Pittsburgh.
I mean, does he not look awkward in this photo from the Daily Mail? He's in black there.
It looks like he'd been up all night partying or something, right? He looks lost. He looks lost, and apparently he's cold. Thought. Apparently he's cold.
I mean, yeah, that's probably what, sunrise, sunset?
Where is he? Do you know? Where is he?
What, Malibu in California, maybe?
Why would you need a blanket out there?
It's cold. By the ocean when it's cold. When it's
early in the morning. Well, he's got short
sunrise.
pants on and no shoes.
What, are you going to pull sweatpants on a beach? Hell no.
If you got a blanket on, you might want to.
I mean, right. So Rodgers, his most
Where is he going to land? We've got to make our prediction right now. Where is it going to be? We've been all over the place tonight. Where is it going to be? We were hoping it would be defined for us here and determined before the show was over. Has anything come up? We're overtime in the show by almost 15 minutes.
Well, we don't have a
Is
set
there
time
any
for the
time?
show.
Should we keep the show going until it's a decision?
We may be here for weeks if that was the case, because Rodgers knows the
Let's keep a show going.
A non-stop running show for days upon days upon days. You want to go or should I go for the prediction?
You go first.
If I had to make a prediction of where Aaron Rodgers is going to go, the fact that he's waiting for the Minnesota Vikings and apparently the Vikings aren't confident in J.J. McCarthy already, my question would be, why not bring back Sam Darnold? And I think just the fact that they're thinking about it and Rodgers is waiting for them, and it just makes a lot of sense. And you could also look at Rodgers doesn't need to be the hero in Minnesota because you have so many good pieces around him. Give me Rodgers, and he completes Brett Favre's. He completes the Packers Brett Favre era and finishes his career with the Minnesota Vikings.
I wonder what the money would be. Because the money's going to be best with the Giants, I would think.
They supposedly made an offer that's better than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
So my guess is the Steelers offered him mid to high 30s or maybe even low 40s.
I think he'd probably like to go back to that division and stick it to the Packers if he could. I think he'd like that. I think that would be something he would like to do. You're probably right. He's waiting for the Vikings. That's where it is right now. We'd love to play there.
Don't just be copying me now.
No, I think you're right. I think I hadn't thought about it this way. I did. I said Giants too. So I don't know where he's going.
Well, you told me to pick, so I'm you pick.
Yeah, I think no. I'm going to stick with your pick. I think he's waiting for the Vikings. It's up to them. His risk there though is if J.J. McCarthy looks fantastic in the preseason and the Vikings get off to anywhere near a slow start, he risks being a bridge quarterback, and that wouldn't be very good for him. He would not be happy sitting on the bench and mentoring McCarthy for 12 games of the season. Then what would he do the following season? He'd want to be out of there again and looking for something else. Then he's too old. Then I think nobody's going to want him. So it's a risk. There's a risk going to the Vikings. It's a risk. He's got to be overly confident. One thing, he doesn't lack any confidence for sure. I'm sure he thinks, I can beat out J.J. McCarthy, no problem.
Well, that's what you have to have.
Yeah, you got to have that. You got to have supreme confidence in yourself.
I'm sure that's what Russ thinks. I'm sure that's what Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson
ayahuasca retreats, that's what you get. Supreme confidence in yourself.
I don't know if that's confidence.
Yeah.
Liquid courage.
That's what the ayahuasca thing does for you.
Right, but it's just like beer. It's liquid courage or alcohol. Yeah. Liquid courage. It ain't real. Yeah. It's a facade.
Yeah. Well.
Although I think Rodgers carries that through his day-to-day life anyway.
Yeah.
Pull
up that picture of him again on the beach. I don't know. I think he'd been out all night there.
Supreme confidence, as you say. Supreme confidence.
He doesn't look supremely confident in that picture to me.
Put that in Titanic. Aaron Rodgers.
We'll see soon. I hope it happens soon. It'll give us something to talk about again.
Aaron Rodgers soon? Yeah. Making a decision soon? It took him months or weeks because he was in a darkness retreat. He said he was 90% retired.
I do think here's one thing. When the Jets released him, there was some doubt in my mind whether he would even get a job. Okay?
Rightfully so.
Now I think he will get a job. I'm just not quite sure where it's going to be. I do think he will get a job.
I do
think he will start the year as a starter.
Yes, absolutely. Because he's not going to. I think it's the same thing.
And we do know that it's probably one of three teams.
He's not going to the Browns. Browns are understood. Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching this clip of the Harvey Hour. If you want to watch the full show, you can by clicking the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to take the show with you on the go, it is available wherever you get your podcast. We go live here on YouTube every single Tuesday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a video and whenever we go live.